Hey there, I'm Aaron, and this is Aaron's Simple Life. Today, I'm going to be showing you how I add color to the front of my books so that my book folding designs really pop. I hope you enjoy. Be sure and hit like and subscribe. Here's the equipment that I use for coloring my books. I use some Elmer's glue, water. This is just water in a spray bottle. I use a little dish, a little measuring spoon. This is a 1/4 teaspoon. I use something to mix it with, a paintbrush to paint it with, and the secret ingredient is Stardust micas. They come in an assortment of colors. Here I have purple, blue, red, black, orange, and gold. And it's very shiny. It's a pigment. It's called the pigment of your imagination. It contains mica, titanium dioxide, tin dioxide, and colorant. So it actually pigments and makes it shiny. The first thing I do is open up my glue. I know that everybody wants measurements, and I don't really measure it. I just put some in the bottom of my bowl. There's how much I put in. I think it's maybe 1/8 or 1/16 of a teaspoon. I don't know for sure. And then I put some water in. There's how much water I put in. I don't know. It might be 1/4 of a teaspoon. Might be 1/2 of a teaspoon. And I mix it all up really well. It takes a minute to mix it up. And all I need is enough to cover the front of a book. It doesn't have to be a whole bunch. There you go. See, all those little particles are all mixed in there now. So it's all watered down. Here, I'll open this Stardust micas. When you open it, you're going to get some all over you. That's just what happens. My camera doesn't focus very well, but look, you can see it's a little bit shiny and sparkly. It's really pretty. What I do is I grab just a little bit of it in my 1/4 teaspoon. So that's maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon, maybe a little bit less. And I pour it right in here. And then mix it up. And there you go. Now this is ready to apply to a book. So here's something to notice about the book that you're going to use. Some people like the original book cover left on the book, and some people don't. if I'm going to leave the original book cover on the book, then I'll take the book cover off before I paint it and put another book cover on there. What I want is the pigment to go on the front of this book, but I don't, the way that I paint, it'll end up on the side of the book cover. And so if I want the book cover left on the book, I have to use an old book cover. So I keep some of those handy. But if I'm going to cover it with something other than the original book cover, then I just go ahead and use the original book cover. So that's what I'm doing today. Now I'm ready to paint, so I just hold my book tight, get some of the color, and start painting. And it'll go on fairly liquid, so you have to be careful not to let it drip down anywhere. When you get towards the edge of it, it will have a tendency to drip down. And usually I do combination folds where the corner gets folded up, so it doesn't have to be perfect along the edge here if you're doing a combi. And every time I gather some color, I stir it up a little bit because the pigment settles towards the bottom. And if you have too much on your brush when you get to the end of the page, it'll drip down. So if you want to do it that way, you can. I prefer not to. And I go back over it a little bit because I've got this extra pigment. If I put on too much, then it seeps into the pages too much. I know that it looks fairly liquid going on, and that's fine. See how nice and purple that is? It's fairly even. It didn't hit over the edges. Now I'm going to let the book sit for 24 hours, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. I usually put it under a few books while it's drying overnight so that it stays closed, because with that extra fluid on the pages, it could warp the pages a bit. So I just leave it sit until it's 100% dry, just overnight. Here's what a book looks like after it's dry. I'm not sure that the camera picks it up really well, but there's a lot of sharply shiny stuff, and it looks like it's gilded. However, the pages can be a little bit stuck together. What I do to fix that problem is I just bend them a little bit. And you can hear them opening up. Now that they're bent, it's really easy to take care of them. as I'm going through marking my page, they come apart very, very easily, as you can see. And if there's one that's still together, it comes apart very easily. So the problem of pages sticking together isn't really that big of a problem. And they all still look like they have sparkly gilded edges. Some of this stuff along the edge here and along the edges here, it'll work out as you are folding and cutting. Most of this stuff along the bottom I won't worry about too much because I usually do combination books, and so those will be folded upwards, so nobody will see that. The edges are still nice, and when I'm done, it'll have a pretty design in it that looks like it's purple and jumping right out of the pages. And see, they aren't stuck together horribly, and anything that is stuck together, it's easy to pull apart. So there's my tutorial on how to color book pages. Remember to like and subscribe. And if this was helpful for you, leave a comment and tell me if you tried it, if it worked, if it didn't work, what you would do differently, what you would do the same. Thank you for your time.